Hey, what's good, everybody there? How you guys doing today? Edelgado, Caramel Conservative, coming at you live here, January 2nd. Congratulations, 2021. You, me, the people you like down the road, the people you don't like down that side of the road, we all made it. I don't know if that's a good thing. For some of you, for me, that's phenomenal. I love it. Every day is going to be a challenge going forward, and I think we all just need to accept that. It's just like that, and that's the way it is. But I tell you, 2021, it's going to be a hell of a challenge for all of us. It's going to be rough. Um, it's funny because I remember back in 2020, especially toward the end, you had everybody clamoring on about how they can't wait for 2020 to be over, how you wanted 2021 to come around, and that somehow magically all the problems of 2020 were going to disappear. Newsflash. It's not. It's only going to get worse. But there are certain things that you can control, other things you can't. Right now, if you look at the overall larger landscape of what's going on politically, you've got what's going on with the presidential election. For all intent and purposes, we do know. Joe, what's going on, brother? How you know? How you doing tonight? We can say pretty much that Joe Biden's going to be inaugurated come January 20th. It doesn't please me to say that, but unless there's some huge miracle that's going to get pulled off between now, January 6th, January 20th, I just don't see how it doesn't happen. However, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Not going to be in the business of predictions. Well, I'll make predictions, but don't count anything I say as legitimate. I'm just a guy with an expensive microphone that likes to run off at the mouth. That's pretty much it. But like I said, there's certain things that you can't control. The weather, what's going on in DC for the most part. But you can control things locally. And I want to get into this here. Tracy, how are you? Happy New Year. I want to get into this here because this is something I think that we've been seeing across the country, in particular, Democrat-run states, cities, counties, through their unelected bureaucrats. And I've talked to several different people, and I've had a few people want me to make this particular video. Now, before I go any further, please do me a favor. If you guys haven't done so already, please make sure to go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Always throw your comments down there in the comment section. This is the type of thing that really helps to get the message out, whether we're doing this on YouTube, on Spreaker, or any other multiple platforms that we do this on. It really does help me out to get the message out. So I would appreciate if you guys would do that here. Now, David Portnoy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's garnered fame from Barstool Sports, and if you were a fan of his on YouTube, he also does pizza reviews in New York City. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but Barstool Sports is undeniably an extremely popular podcast. And I wanted to get into this particular topic because I really, really liked what he had to say. And let's pull this in here, and we're going to go into it a little bit more here. So what we've seen in 2020 thus far was this overreach of government and just these edicts being passed down, not even laws. But then when you have these oathbreaker officers just enforcing them, arresting people for not wearing masks, arresting people for opening their businesses, taking license, it was just absolutely ridiculous. David Portnoy here from Barstool Sports, he actually kind of went on a rant here about this a few weeks ago. He put on a post here on Twitter. And he talked in particular about New York City's closing of dining. And let's get into this here. So here's what David Portnoy had to say. New York City just closed indoor dining. What do they think is going to happen? What do they think is going to happen to the thousands of restaurants, the bars? They're done. The bar and restaurant industry, small businesses have been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. Portnoy continues here that he noted that many of the small businesses did everything within their creative power to play ball with the government by erecting spaces and creating a safe environment for their customers to come and enjoy themselves. They've been as creative as possible. They've got the outdoor dining, the structures that they've had to build on their own dime. They've had the glass in between the masks, he said. You have 6 feet of separation, and the fewer tables. They've been as creative as they can be to save their livelihoods and to save what they have spent decades of blood, sweat, and tears building. They've done whatever they've clawed and scratched. And now a few politicians in New York City is like, you're done. We're shutting it down. No indoor dining. How do you expect these people to survive? Are you going to go out to dine in the ice cold temperatures? It's insanity, he declared. Now, there we go. All right, there we go. Much better now. This is something that's kind of bothered me on a lot of levels, because when we take a look at your bars and restaurants, when you take a look at your bars and restaurants and everything else, what you find is that the vast majority of them are independently owned. Yes, you will have a couple people that might have 1 or 2 bars, maybe they might have 3, but I'm not talking about your major chain restaurants. I'm not talking about your major chain bars or anything like that. I'm talking about a business owner of the family owns 1 bar. And if you take a look, the vast majority of those bars across the nation, the vast majority of these small eateries, this is not a Perkins and Applebee's, these are independent people that have spent their entire life savings in. And one of the things that's always frustrated me with the bar and restaurant industry was the very fact that so many people think, and I remember I had a comment from one person. He said, when all these lockdowns and everything began, his comment was, and I remember it so vividly, well, these bars and restaurants, they make enough money. Well, number one, who the hell are you to say what is enough money? Like, you have no work experience whatsoever. You have no idea what it is, the economics of a restaurant, the economics of the bar business. You have no idea about any of this stuff. But yet you're going to go ahead and tell me that bars and restaurants can go ahead and survive just by shutting down for a couple months because, you know what, they got the money to go ahead and do that. Well, that's a load of crap. Because anybody who has any insider knowledge, even just the slightest modicum of it, you would know that, yes, all you see is a lot of money just coming across the bar, coming across to the waiters and the waitresses and everything else. That's what a lot of people see, and that's all they see. So when you go, sometimes you might go to a bar, you might go to a restaurant when they're making a bank deposit and they got these big old envelopes of cash. What you're not seeing is that they're depositing it into their checking account, yes, but what's going on in the background? See, when you actually stare behind the curtain, you find out a lot more than what you bargained for. What you come to find out is that a bar owner, a restaurant owner, if they're lucky, might keep 8 to 10% of that income, of all the money that they get. And that's pre-tax, okay? See, that other 90 to 92%, that actually goes right back across. It goes to vendors. It goes to taxes. It goes to maintenance. It goes to putting the lights on. It goes to every other fee under the sun, business license, liquor licenses, food licenses, health department, you name it. All of these things, all that money ends up going back across the bar or whoever it is that they need to write the checks out to. And you got to also understand that a lot of these businesses, they operate on small margins. So when beef ends up increasing in price, guess what's going to happen? Your meal is going to go up a little bit, not exponentially, at least not yet, but it's going to go up in cost because that cost is going to be absorbed somewhere. And considering the fact that bar and restaurant owners are operating on very thin margins to begin with, well, where else are they going to cut? There's nowhere left. So it's my position that I think at this particular point, we have the opportunity right now, especially for those of us that live in areas where bars and restaurants are open, even if it is at limited capacity, or if these bars and restaurants do a self-imposed limited capacity. I think it's important for us, like I said, there are certain areas where we can impact and influence some change. Patronize these organizations, patronize these groups. Because these folks, they're out there working their ass off. They're trying to provide for you the best environment, the best food in a highly competitive market, mind you. And it doesn't matter. I live in a very small town in the middle of nowhere. Like, we literally have around 2,000 people in my town. We have about 7 bars in a 5-mile radius. And I will tell you right now, it is highly competitive if I was going out for food. I got to tell you that. I could go right now 5 miles down the road and get some of the best chicken that I've ever had. And they're known for it. They're good at it. And the place is busy enough, whether it be through carry out or dine in, where they're still getting good business. And why? Because they're producing a superior product. But they were hurting for a time. And that dine out business, that stuff really hurts them too, because again, we're adding more overhead costs. You're adding the cost of, the styrofoam, of napkins, plastic utensils, other things they would not otherwise normally be utilizing. Okay. So when we think about ways that we can help and support our local businesses, that is right there, right at the top of the list. Patronize these groups here, because when we take a look overall, like I said, government is imposing these ridiculous edicts. And at a certain point, people are going to just say the hell with it, and they're going to open back up anyway. We've been seeing it already. What was that one gym in New Jersey? Was it New Jersey, New York? Harold, you're absolutely right. That's if they're lucky with keeping those margins. But they're imposing these ridiculous restrictions on people. And what are they supposed to do? Because they're laying off people. They're laying off servers. They're laying off cooks. They're laying off other employees that work with it. And there is a ripple effect beyond that. It's not just the servers. It's not just the cooks. It's also the vendors that are related to that, the food industry. If you take a look, you remember in the beginning of all this, and all this madness started, they were just burning and getting rid of food. Because why? The supply chain was broken. You wouldn't realize that by closing down bars and restaurants in various states, that you would have an overabundance of meat and eggs and various other things, and they would end up having to destroy it. Why? Because the cost dropped out of the bottom. So through the CARES Act back in April, the U.S. government ended up buying all that stuff rather than just burning it and getting rid of it. But the food industry actually made that much of a difference. So at a particular point, like I said, people are going to just say the hell with it. We're going to open up. You take all our savings. We lived on everything that we can. We did everything that we could. We understand as a pandemic, but you know what? We need to operate. I have responsibilities. I have to take care of my family. I have employees that need to take care of their families. I have to look out for them. I have a community to work with. So you know what? If you want to take back your freedom, enough asking. At a particular point, you need to say the hell with it. You ain't got nothing left to lose. Support your local bars, support your local businesses, support your local restaurants. I know it's tempting to want to go to Applebee's. I know it's tempting to want to go to Olive Garden, Red Lobster, and all that other stuff. But they're going to be fine no matter what. Some small businesses, your neighbor. That's great. We got $600 in a paycheck or at a stimulus. Maybe another $1,400 is going to come along the way. Well, that's a one-time infusion. What's that really going to do? Most people are going to waste that money anyway. Instead of giving all this money away, why don't we take care of, our small businesses? And I'm not talking just paycheck protection program. Let's just stop giving out stimulus checks and devaluing our dollar. Let's stop giving out money to all these other countries that really don't give a damn about us other than the fact that they see us as their own personal ATM. And let's start reinvesting into the communities that have been devastated over this last year, that have been wrecked. Because I'll tell you personally, I have seen businesses, and more than just one, go under. Now, I know some of them went under for bad management. Some of them have gone under because of hard times. But I can tell you a good deal of them that went under didn't have to. And it was all because of these lockdowns, these unconstitutional edicts, and this government overreach. You want to talk about a new normal? that's going to be it right there. So, all right, guys, I just wanted to leave you guys with that, but I'll be putting out some more content here later on. I don't know if I'm going to do something later tonight. I'll definitely be doing something tomorrow. And, of course, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Caramel Conservative Podcast will be back, so make sure you guys tune in for that. Otherwise, you guys take care of yourself. Have an outstanding night. God bless you, and I'm out.